my God, this is how we're ranked. No, this is like, it's over. This is what happens, people. You can't put us up high on this.
Got it.
Oh.
Where's your office?
So you guys can sit in those three rooms right there. That'd be great. We'll give our judges a moment to get settled in, and we'll make sure there's no conflicts. We'll get started. You guys feel free to have a seat. Yes, bring back, we will get started.
I was changing the break and then I just.
All right, before we get started, can I just ask which witness is the bailiff, just so I know who's keeping time? Cool, great. Great, calling the case of New Barnes v. Thomas R. Klein High School, whatever the title is. Are all parties here and ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, can we have appearances on the record from the plaintiff?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We are Team 106. My name is Paola Morales, and I, along with my co-counsel, Mr. Taylor Thompson, we will be representing the plaintiff in today's case, Sydney Newberens, parent of Marie Newberens. We do have several preliminary matters to be heard today, and one motion in limine.
Okay, can we have appearances from the defense, then we'll get to your things.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. On behalf of Thomas R. Klein High School, my name is Ryan Storer, spelled Stoehrer. I'm joined today by my co-counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Daniela Diaz, D-I-A-Z.
And we're with Team 104 today.
All right, plaintiff, you said you had some housekeeping and motions and all that good stuff, so why don't we start with housekeeping?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to confirm that the federal rules of evidence and federal rules of civil procedure will be governed in today's case.
Yes, if that's what the rules say of the competition, that's what we'll be using. Just confirming with defense, that's what the rules of the competition say?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great.
We ask that we have permission to move freely about the well.
Yes, a couple caveats on that. So you can freely move, however, please ask permission to approach adverse witnesses. You can feel free to approach your own witnesses without asking permission, as well as the bench.
Understood, Your Honor. And given the time constraints in today's proceedings, we ask that you confirm that all witnesses be pre-sworn in prior to trial.
Sure, that's fine.
Your Honor, just to make the court aware, this case has been bifurcated and we will be trying the liability case only.
I warn them.
And last, Your Honor, just so that the court is aware, we had a successful pretrial hearing with opposing counsel, and we've agreed to the stipulation of admitting a couple of exhibits. Let me name those now. It's exhibits 1, 3, 7, 4, 9, and 11. We move to enter them at this time.
Let me make sure I got the list right.
Yes.
So we have 1, 3, 4, 7, 9, 11.
Yes, correct.
Is that so stipulated defense?
Your Honor, is not. It's our understanding that pursuant to our pretrial meeting, we agreed to 1, 3, 9, and 11, and
Oh, yes, my apologies. Not 4. Yes.
Okay, so let's make sure the list is right. 1, 3, 7, 9, 11. So stipulated?
yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. My
Okay.
apologies, I missed it.
It's okay. So I would check. What next?
Plaintiff has no further preliminary matters, just our motion and limit.
Okay, why don't we pause your motion? Let's see if defense has any preliminary matters and then we'll go back to you, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any preliminary matters?
Yes, Your Honor. Once an exhibit is received into evidence, should we ask Your Honor's permission to publish to members of the jury, or are we free to publish as we wish?
Once an exhibit is admitted, you are free to publish freely at any time.
And Your Honor, I just want to clarify, today both sides intend to call expert witnesses. May we assume pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 615 that they're both in the courtroom throughout the duration of the trial?
At this point, we can assume everyone remains in the courtroom until the duration of the trial, until Rule 615 is invoked by either side.
And Your Honor, pursuant to that same rule, we request that Al Clooney, a witness to be called by the plaintiff today, who's neither a party representative or a paid expert, be precluded from the court.
Okay, so to clarify, are you invoking Rule 615 for sequestering of non-essential witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have any objection to Al Clooney being sequestered?
We don't, Your Honor.
Great. And to clarify, do you want your expert to remain in the courtroom?
We do, Your Honor.
Okay,
Your Honor, last thing, do we have Your Honor permission to use the verdict sheet in our submission?
of course.
With that, we're ready to move on to motions.
Point.
Yes, Your Honor. The opposing counsel has made clear that they do not intend to pursue their affirmative defense today. That being the case, we would ask to exclude Exhibit 2, which is the waiver that was signed by Marie and his mother. Would Your Honor like a copy of that waiver?
I'm familiar with what it says. That's okay right now.
Your Honor, under Rule 401 and 403, since the affirmative defense is not being brought, that waiver would be irrelevant. It only goes to show that the plaintiff assumed the risks associated with the sport, and since that defense is not being brought, it's irrelevant to today's case. And that being the case, if the court did find any probative value, it would be substantially outweighed by the risk of confusing the issues and misleading the jury in this case, as they're not privy to affirmative defenses being brought or not. So we would ask that Exhibit 2 be excluded today.
Okay, defense, I'm assuming you oppose this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
As Your Honor is well aware, at the heart of any negligence action is whether or not a breach has occurred. This waiver, in addition to discussing those concerns as addressed by counsel, discuss some of the risks inherent in the game of football. Now, whether those risks like concussions, risks like broken bones, and yes, paralysis, are inherent in the game of football, that would imply that could be brought on any play. That these could be that such an injury could be results on any play. We only intend to offer this exhibit for the limited purpose of showing that these risks are inherent in the game of football, that they can occur on any play, and therefore that would speak to whether or not there was a breach to run this particular play at issue.
If I may proffer, Your Honor.
Sure.
This case is going to involve multiple witnesses, 2 of which are high school coaches with ample experience and another being a sports medicine physician. If their only intention is to offer this exhibit to show the risks involved with the sport, they can do that through any number of witnesses today.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. So, I'm gonna hold under advisement. If you feel, plaintiff, that they go beyond that very limited purpose that they just stated of only showing, breach, of care. If you feel they go beyond just showing breach with that document, feel free to re-raise, we can take it up then. But I'm gonna hold under advisement at this point, pending I'm gonna take them at their word that that's all they're gonna use it for.
Yes, Your Honor. I want to be clear that that would be just for discussing the waiver, because obviously, Your Honor, if the waiver were admitted into evidence, the jury would be seeing it in its entirety, and obviously that would mislead the jury. So discussion of the risks that are involved in the waiver is okay until they go past that, and we can raise an objection then, but admitting the waiver itself, we're still gonna ask that is.
So if that's where your stance is, so I'm not going to keep it out at this point. It depends on the context in which they bring it in. I'm confident a curative instruction can handle that if we need to, but you are free to re-raise that objection if you believe the context surrounding when they try to enter it or questions surrounding it go beyond that limited purpose. You can feel free to re-raise, we can take it up at that point. Okay.
If the exhibit is going to be able to be admitted, for clarity's sake, we would ask that at this time it be constructively redacted to only include the elements that opposing counsel wants the exhibit to show. That being a very limited paragraph in this waiver that shows those risks.
Okay, what's the number or title of that paragraph? Just
That
if we can stipulate to that.
Yes, Your Honor, that paragraph would be acknowledgement of risk. However, Your Honor, even that phrase alone, I believe, would be misleading to the jury. So if it would be admitted, the only unredacted portion, and it appears opposing counsel only wishes to use the waiver for this purpose, would be football involves inherent risks of physical injury, including but not limited to concussions, broken bones, sprains, or in rare cases, paralysis or death. That sentence we would be amenable to, if that's what they want to enter.
Okay, but you don't want the
Phrase
header.
acknowledgement
Okay.
of risk, or even the first sentence, I understand that the participation in football involves inherent risks, as that does show that they are assuming the following risks involved.
Your Honor, if I may, just to suggest a potential curative solution here, I would ask that Your Honor allow the entire paragraph to be shown to the jury and provide a limiting instruction pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 105 that it may only be considered for the purpose of assessing the violence inherent in the game of football, not whether this individual player and these individual parents assume such a risk.
Okay, would you be amenable to that? You don't have to be, to show the paragraph about a curative instruction to that paragraph. You don't have to.
Your Honor, I still believe that paragraph itself in its entirety would mislead the jury.
That's fine, so we'll hold it under advisement. You can feel free to re-raise, you can feel free to try and bring it in. But at this point, I'm holding under advisement and we'll take it as it comes in trial.
Your Honor, given that decision, may I be heard briefly on something?
Very briefly.
Opposing counsel has informed us that they intend to call Marie Nuberens via deposition before calling any witnesses in person today. They have discussed some of the lines of this deposition testimony that they intend to read, and they've informed us that they'd like to read from Exhibit 21, lines 35 through 39. And they also advise us that they will not be reading the full question because it references Exhibit 2. Given counsel's objection to the fact that it's reserved, we ask that they either read the entire question into the record or don't read the question and the answer whatsoever.
So I am going to rule that if you want to call a witness via deposition, you have to read the full question and the full answer of that line. So you can choose to read that line, you don't have to read that line, but if you're going to read a question and answer, it must be the full question and answer under the rule of completeness. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any other motions?
That concludes plaintiff's motion line.
Spence, any motions?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense has two motions today. The first one involves exhibit 4 precluding that exhibit. Exhibit 4 is 2 emails that were dated August 7th and August 9th of 2021, and any testimony regarding the contents of those emails. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
I'm familiar with what it says. That's okay. Thank you, though.
So by way of background, Exhibit 4 is a complaint by a parent sent to Klein High School about Coach Powell 3 years prior to the incident that brings us here today. This email is sent by a different parent to the school personnel complaining about Coach Powell and references things involving overworking the children. Under 801, this email has hearsay comments. There are out-of-court statements being offered for the truth of the matter in today's proceedings. And furthermore, under 404A, this is also improper character evidence.
Can you explain the character evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. This is used for propensity purposes. It is our contention that opposing counsel will use this document and the elements contained in the testimony to say that because Mr. Powell was deemed or alleged to have been a negligent in one scenario, that today he was negligent, and thus Klein High School was negligent.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll take those in turn. Under 801, the hearsay, this email would not be offered to show the truth of the matter asserted in any of these statements. They would be offered to show that Coach Powell, along with Klein High School, was put on notice that the coaching decisions of staff were inherently dangerous. Because they were put on notice, they should have made adjustments to those coaching decisions. Whether or not the allegations in the email are true or not, they were put on notice that they were perceived as dangerous. This email was sent specifically to Albert Caroline, who's the athletic director for Klein High School. So it's not just Coach Powell, it's the entire school that was put on notice. And similarly, Your Honor, under 404, 404B2 allows other acts to be used so long as they're not used for propensity. This would be offered for the same reason. It's offered to show that the school was put on notice, not for propensity purposes.
Okay, response to the notice.
Yes, Your Honor. That would be under 403, very prejudicial, substantially more prejudicial to the jury. It would confuse the facts of what happened in this scenario in comparison to what's happening here. If the jury hears that Jackie Powell was found to be negligent in some regard into how he was practicing, they might take that evidence today and move it over to today's proceedings and what this trial is about. Any mention of that may confuse the jury, and thus they are using it for propensity purposes.
Okay. Plaintiff, are you planning on using it for any other purpose than just for notice?
Nothing other than notice, no sir.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I may be heard, we would be amendable to the redaction of the email entitled with Marissa Kuka. And that establishes all of the arguments of why this practice was negligent. If you want to just let it in for regarding to what was known to Coach Powell and what was known to the staff, we are amenable to that.
Would you be amenable to that?
Your Honor, the body of the email is the notice itself.
I had a feeling you'd say that. So here's what we'll do. Once again, I'm gonna hold this under advisement. So feel free to re-raise when or at any point that they choose to bring this email up. Feel free to re-raise your objection. I just want to see a little more of the context that it comes in, if it is truly for notice or if it's for propensity, we can evaluate that. All right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, two things on that. I'm going to ask that neither party open on either of the things that were held under advisement. So the email as well as the waiver.
Yes, sure. The defense does have one more motion to
Oh,
address.
sorry about that.
So the defense moves to preclude any testimony or reading from stipulation 4 in this trial. For a brief factual background, this case concerns the medical safety of the tush push. You will learn that the tush push was legal in Pennsylvania in 2024 for high schools. Stipulation 4 references that on May 8th, 2024, the Pennsylvania Athletic Association adopted adopted the NFHS football rule 9-1, which states that any offensive player shall not push, pull, or lift the runner to assist his forward progress. That adoption was for the following season, Your Honor. Under 401, this piece of evidence is irrelevant as today's proceedings are regarding on what happened on September 9th, 2024. So anything about what was going to be implemented in 2025 is not relevant under 401.
Okay, just so I understand the context. So this is a fact you stipulated is true.
It's a stipulation under,
So it's a fact, it's
Yes.
a fact you stipulated is true, right?
yes.
Response?
Yes, Your Honor, we are here today to determine whether or not Klein High School was negligent when they made the decision to run a dangerous play. The idea that this play was outlawed the very next season amplifies that negligent decision. If Klein High School was aware, the coaches were aware that this play, the very next season, they would not be allowed to run it under Pennsylvania state law, but chose to run it anyway, that shows a negligent act.
I'll give you one last argument to your motion.
Your Honor, under 401, it has to make a fact of consequence more or less probable. What happens in 2025 does not have any bearing on what happened on September 9th, 2024.
I'm going to deny that motion. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else from planning? Great, then we're ready to proceed, the jury's been brought in, yada, 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 plaintiff, feel free to open, at what?
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I please the floor? Counsel. Klein High School couldn't stand to lose. Klein High School wouldn't let safety stand in the way of success. And that break will never stand again. You're gonna hear today how this boy walked into the football field with his whole future ahead of him. But he left practice that day on a stretcher, unable to feel anything from the neck down. Marique Newbards was a young and talented athlete. Klein High School was lucky to have an athlete like him. He's the kind of athlete that you only needed to tell things once to, because he would just get it. Because he played football with his heart. Now, despite being the smallest on the team at only 5'2" and 110 pounds, Marique was pretty fast and strong, which is why the coaches named him the starting quarterback for the 2023 to 2024 season. That season was going to be a great year for Marique, because all the hard work that he's been putting in football was finally paying off. But then on September 9th, everything changed for Marique. Because you're going to hear today how this boy's future was shattered out in a practice field because of a call that a coach made. So let's go back and talk about what brought us here today. You see, Klein High School, they were on a losing streak. 1 win, 9 losses, 2 years in a row. You're going to hear today how these coaches felt the pressure. Because if they had another season like that again, their jobs were on the line. So for inspiration, they turned to a team that had more successes in the NFL than any other team, the Eagles. They took a play that many people think is the secret to the Eagles' success, the tush push. You'll hear today that it's a play where the quarterback, when the ball snapped, he lines up front center, he dives forward while more of his teammates are pushing him forward in hopes of gaining those 1 or 2 yards. It's a play that's so dangerous. The people that govern high school student safety banned this play for high school students. It's a play that Philly was going to adopt for the following season. And despite all of those risks, the coaches decided to run this play, and not only run it with the smallest kid on this team to do it. You're going to hear today how Marique was told to run it lower than how the Eagles ran it, with his head down, his chest parallel to the floor, like a human spear. That was the instruction. A play that they only ran 3 times. And then once at the live game, and then for the final time on September 9th. That day, Marique gets to practice. He lines up front and center. When the whistle blows and the ball snaps, Marique, following his coach's instruction, he tucks his chin into his chest and he keeps his chest parallel to the floor and blindly goes forward into a wall of 6 other players. By the end of that play, Marique was at the bottom of a pile, feeling the weight of about 600 pounds crushing his back. One by one, the players get up. But Marique just lies there, unable to move. That is the last time that Marique is ever going to feel his legs again. Today, as a plaintiff, we bear the burden We have to prove to you that Klein High School was negligent by a preponderance of the evidence. And what that means is we must prove that it's more likely than not that these coaches failed to act like reasonable coaches would have. Not that football is dangerous, but these coaches, they made it more dangerous. And throughout this trial, you're going to hear from multiple witnesses. One of them is Coach Al Clooney. And Coach Clooney, when she takes this stand, she's going to tell you just how dangerous this tush push really is. And how she didn't even want these athletes to run this play. And you're going to hear today that she told the head coach, Coach Powell, and Coach Powell didn't care and he ran that play anyway. And today, you're also going to hear from Dr. Cotter, who's an expert in sports medicine. And she's going to tell you that these students shouldn't have been running this play at all. Why? You'll hear today it's because their spines are weaker and still developing. And today, Dr. Carter's going to tell you how Marique, having his chest parallel to the floor, didn't just increase the risk of paralysis, but it actually caused it. That is how desperate they were. And today, the defense, they're going to call up a neurosurgeon. And this neurosurgeon is going to tell you that this play requires the players to be so close together so the forces that they'll get on their spine is very low. But one thing that this neurosurgeon is not going to mention is any mention of the modification that Coach Powell made Marique do. Why? Well, you'll learn throughout this trial that Coach Powell and Dr. Evans have been friends for quite some time. And you'll learn that that's why he didn't find it. Members of the jury, football, it's a risky game. There is no doubt about that. We agree that injuries, they can happen on any play. But that's not why we're here today. We're here today because these coaches made it more dangerous. The adults that were supposed to protect their students failed them. Klein High School couldn't stand to lose. Klein High School wouldn't let safety stand in the way of success. Now Marique will never stand again. At the end of this trial, my co-counsel, Mr. Thompson, he's going to get up here. And he's going to ask you to make the right decision and find Klein High School liable for negligence.
Okay.
In the violent game of football, every play comes with danger. September 9th, 2024. And the Klein High School freshman football team takes the field for practice. There's an excitement in the air. You can feel it. The team just won their first game. The players just started their first year of high school. Everybody on that field is full of energy, full of excitement, and filled with optimism. But unfortunately, that practice, the split second, devolved into an unthinkable, unimaginable tragedy. Members of the jury, there's no dispute as to what happened on that fateful September day. Marique Nuberus was paralyzed. While what happened here was in fact a tragedy, just because a tragedy takes place, that doesn't necessarily render somebody responsible. And today, the plaintiff has the burden to prove here, by preponderance of the evidence, that Thomas R. Klein High School was negligent in running this play, and that negligence caused Marique's injuries. They will fail to meet that burden because the overwhelming evidence in this case is going to show that football is dangerous. Being a member of the high school football team is not like being a member of the marching band. It's not chess ball. Football is dangerous. In the game of football, every snap, every tackle, every block, and every play comes with the possibility that something, anything, can go horribly wrong. The plaintiff will fail to meet their burden today because football is a violent game. Because Klein High School practiced illegal play. And because the play that Klein High School ran was safe. To my first point, that football is a violent game. Members of the jury, you don't have to tune into NFL Red Zone to know that every single, to know that football in and of itself is a violent game. But today, if you're not familiar with the game of football, you're gonna be in luck because you're gonna hear from two football coaches. The plaintiff is gonna call out Clooney, the offensive coordinator for the freshman football team at the time of this horrific accident. I'm gonna call Jackie Powell, the head coach of that team. Both coaches have been around football their entire lives. Both coaches have been coaching at the high school level for around a decade now. And both coaches are going to agree on one thing. That football is a contact sport. It's physical. That the game of football, in and of itself, is dangerous. Members of the jury, in this trial, you're going to hear about horrific, life-altering injuries that have occurred at all levels of this dangerous game. They've occurred at the professional level. They've occurred at the college level. And yes, they occur at the high school level too. Why is that? As the plaintiff's own witness, Al Clooney will tell you, the game of football in and of itself is violent. In the violent game of football, every play comes with danger, including plays that are perfectly legal. Which brings me to my second point, that Klein High School practiced illegal play. Members of the jury, like many high school football coaches here in the city of Philadelphia, Jackie Powell is a huge Eagles fan. For the upcoming season, in 2024-2025, she took a play out of the Eagles playbook, the famous tush-push play. Now, contrary to what opposing counsel just told you, you're going to learn that the tush-push play was legal in the NFL, it was legal in college football, and yes, in the state of Pennsylvania for high school football, the tush-push was legal. But additionally, you're going to learn that Klein High School practiced and taught this play thoroughly to their team. You're going to hear that on August 20th, Jackie Powell took everybody on that field out and told each player on the offense exactly how she'd like them to run the play. You're going to learn that the play was run not once, not twice, but 3 total times that day. And everything went exactly as planned. Quarterback gained the necessary yard, but nobody was injured. This brings me to my third and final point, that the play was safe. The plaintiff has the burden to prove to you that this was an unreasonable play. And to try to accomplish that, they're going to call Dr. Kensington Hahn, who's going to get up here and tell you that it was unsafe because of the risk of spinal injury. But here's what the facts are actually showing. In the NFL, this play had been run a total of 316 times. On that play, in those 316 runs, only 2 players have ever been injured. Neither of those players were a quarterback. Not a single college football player was injured on this play. And prior to this horrific accident, not a single high school football player was injured on this play. We'll call an expert of our own, Dr. Omega Adams. Dr. Adams is going to tell you that this play was safe because it was low impact force play. Dr. Adams will explain that these players were bunched together, that they ran at slow speeds. That makes the tush push a safe play. He'll further explain that at the high school level, the players are smaller. They're slower. They're not as strong. That makes an already low force play even lower, making it safer. Members of the jury, what happened here is a tragedy. But tragedy does not always equal liability. Football is a violent game. Thomas R. Klein High School practiced a legal play. And the play was safe. At the conclusion of this trial, my co-counsel, Daniela Diaz, will come before you. She'll ask you to return the only verdict, consistent with the facts, consistent with the law, consistent with your own common sense. To find Thomas R. Klein High School not liable for this unforeseeable tragedy. Thank you.
All right, plaintiff, you can split up your case.
Yes, Your Honor, unfortunately, Marie Nuberens can't be here today to testify in person, but we will be reading a portion of his deposition, using call. Marie, tell the jury everything Coach Powell told you to do on August 20th when you practiced the quarterback sneak push.
Coach Powell showed me a picture of Jalen Hurts and said I should be much lower, knees bent with my face and torso parallel to the ground.
What happened when you practiced the quarterback sneak push on September 9th?
I ran the play just like Coach Powell told me. I felt multiple players hit me on my neck and back. I felt a jolt down my spine like an explosion. I couldn't move my arms or legs. Our trainer and coaches rushed the field. An ambulance took me to the hospital.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And do you have any counter designations you'd like to read at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Plaintiff calls out Coach Alclini to the stand. Hi, Coach Clooney, can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Al Clooney.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a football coach.
What's your connection to Klein High School?
I was the offensive coordinator there for almost a decade.
Can you tell the jury generally your experience with football?
Sure. I mean, I've been around football my entire life. My dad was a coach. I used to go to practice with him every single day. So it was only natural for me to start coaching.
Coach Clooney, now I want to talk a little more about Klein High School and their football program. Who were the coaches at Klein when you worked there?
We had 3 coaches total. It was myself, a defensive coordinator, and the head coach, Jackie Powell.
Can you tell us about the winning and losing streak for the first 2 seasons with Coach Powell as head coach?
Sure. Our record was 1 win and 9 losses for both of those seasons.
You were working there during that time, right?
I was.
Now, based on your knowledge, was there any concern that this losing streak had amongst the coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I was worried about keeping my job. I think we were all worried about our jobs.
Coach Powell was among those coaches that shared that concern.
Yes,
Who's the coach that calls all the plays for the freshman football team?
that would be the head coach, Coach Powell.
Now, Coach Clooney, I want to talk about Klein's decision for calling the tush push. Whose idea was it to call the tush push?
That was also Coach Powell's idea.
Now, for those of us that don't watch too much football, can you tell us what is the tush push?
Sure, it's in short yardage offensive play where when the quarterback gets the ball snapped, he starts moving forward and 3 players come up behind him and physically push him forward across the line.
As a coach, did you believe that this play was safe for your students?
No, I did not.
Why?
I mean, it's a pretty intense play. I didn't like the idea that 11 defensive players would all be charging 1 quarterback.
Did you tell Coach Powell about these concerns?
Yeah, I told her.
What did she do?
I mean, she didn't really care because she called the play anyway. She said if the Birds could do it, then we could do it.
Based on your knowledge, was any other high school running this play?
No, we were the only high school to run this play.
Now, Coach Clooney, I want to talk a little more about Marique. You recognize Marique if I showed him to you?
Yes, of course.
This is Marique.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I publish what's already been pre-admitted as Exhibit 1?
Yep, you can feel free to publish any of the exhibits.
How would you describe Marique as an athlete?
I mean, he's a great kid. He's a fantastic player, super coachable, super respectful. I mean, he's really talented.
What position was, or what play was Marique playing when he was injured?
He was doing the Marique sneak.
Tell us a little more about that. What is the Marique?
So the Marique sneak is a variation of the tush push, where the quarterback here, Marique, bends all the way over with his chest and head parallel to the ground, and then is pushed along by the other players.
When Marique was running this play, what was his height and weight?
He was the smallest player on the team. He was only 5'2" and about 110 pounds.
How was Coach Powell coaching Marique when he ran this play?
I mean, he was pretty aggressive. She would yell at him, tell him to get lower every single time we were in it. Get lower, get lower. One time she even grabbed his helmet and physically moved him to be parallel to the ground.
When was the last time that Marique ran this play?
The last time he ran it was on September 9th at practice.
Tell us about that day. What happened?
Well, we set up to do the play. Marie got the ball. He bent over just like he was told. He's parallel to the ground. He started going. The players pushed him. There was a dog pile and Marie didn't get up.
What did you do after?
I ran over. I asked him if he was okay. I freaked out.
Who called 911?
I called 911.
Why?
I mean, I didn't know what else to do. He wasn't moving.
I have nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross? Yes, Your Honor. When you're ready.
Good afternoon, Ms. Clinton.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to talk to you about the violence of football. Now, you've been around football for your entire life.
Yeah, my whole life.
You've been a high school coach for about 11 years now.
Yes, I have.
Football's a contact sport, right?
Absolutely.
It's physical.
Very.
In football games, players get hurt.
All the time, yes.
Every NFL game results in multiple injuries, correct?
Yes, normally.
In your own words, the game of football in and of itself is violent.
Absolutely, yes.
Let's talk about what your school does to make these players aware of this violence. Your Honor, may the record reflect and showing opposing counsel who's been pre-marked for identification as Exhibit 2.
Okay.
Permission to approach the witness.
You may.
Ms. Clooney, you recognize Exhibit 2?
Yes, I do.
You recognize it because it's a waiver that each player has to sign before joining the football team.
That's what it is, yes.
It's a fair and accurate depiction of this waiver as you've seen it.
Yes, it is.
It hasn't been changed or modified in any way.
No, it has not.
Your Honor, I now offer Exhibit 2 into evidence.
Objection, Your Honor. We raise our motion in limine.
Okay,
Our arguments for motion.
okay, so if you could just articulate for me just briefly again, why you think the waiver is inadmissible grounds and such, given the context that it brought up in direct.
Yes, Your Honor. So this waiver directly is relevant to the fact that they are that the plaintiff assumed the risk. In this case, since that's not being raised at all, it's not relevant. The portion that opposing counsel is trying to get at, he could just get it with the cross that he established that football is dangerous, it's risky, and he established with the cross-examination. We don't need that with the waiver.
Response?
Your Honor, as I articulated earlier, this waiver discusses some of the inherent risks in the game of football. While we aren't bringing an assumption of the risk defense, we ought to be able to explore this. The fact that every player receives this waiver, has to sign this waiver, and these are listed as inherent risks in the game of football, is something that the jury ought to be able to consider.
Your Honor, if I may, these risks that opposing counsel is talking about, broken bones, concussions, paralysis, he can directly ask Coach Clooney that. There's no need to bring in this waiver, because then if they do bring in the waiver, it's going to mislead the jury if they read the acknowledgement of risk, because then they're going to believe that plaintiff assumed the risk, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Your Honor, if I may,
Sure.
I would re-raise the proposal to instruct the jury to not consider pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 105.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to not allow exhibit 2 in. However, because opposing counsel said they would be fine with you cross-examining this witness on risks of playing football, including broken bones, concussions, any listed injuries, you are free, given that statement from opposing counsel, to cross-examine this witness on any injuries that could potentially occur in football and the risks that those players were aware of. Additionally, that those players were in fact aware of that risk, okay? I think that's how we can get at the information without avoiding that, okay?
Certainly. Permission to approach?
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Clooney, you'd agree that football comes with certain risks.
Absolutely.
Risks of things like sprains,
Yes,
like broken bones,
yes,
like concussions,
yes,
even death, correct?
yes, it's a possibility.
And even paralysis.
Yes,
Paralysis could occur on any play.
yes, it's happened.
Now, Maria Newbrands practiced the entire summer leading up to this incident.
Yes, he did.
You practiced 3 times a week in June,
Yes,
3 times a week in July,
yes,
and 4 times a week in August.
yes.
My math's correct, that's about 40 practices, right?
Sure, yes, your math's correct.
During those 40 practices, Marie Newbrands didn't come up to you and say, football's too violent for me, I don't want to play.
No, he never said that.
Marie Newbrands didn't say, I don't want to be the quarterback anymore, it's too violent a position for me.
No, he never said that either.
He never said, I don't want to run the tush push anymore, it's too violent of a play for me.
No.
Let's talk about whether this play was legal when your team ran it. Now, Klein High School is located right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yes, it is.
High school sports in Philadelphia are governed by the Pennsylvania Athletic Association.
Yes, they are.
Miss, you're aware that for the 2024-2025 season, the tush push was legal in this state.
It was for the 2024-25 season.
Now, you mentioned that you thought this play was dangerous on direct examination. Is that correct?
Yes, I said that.
Let's talk about what you did when you learned about this dangerous play. Now, you learned at the Wicked Wolf on July 1st that Coach Powell wanted to run the play.
Yes, that's what she told me.
And you claimed that you claimed that you expressed your concerns to her.
Yeah, I told her that I thought it was unsafe.
You didn't document any of those concerns.
No, it was just a conversation.
You didn't send her an email following that day.
No, I did not.
You didn't send her a text message following that day.
No, I didn't do that.
You told her one time at the bar that it was unsafe.
Yes, I told her at the bar.
Now, 2 weeks later, you learned that the play was in your team's playbook.
Yes.
You didn't document any concerns after you learned it was in the playbook.
No, I already told her, so
You didn't warn any of the other coaches that Coach Powell wanted to run this dangerous play.
no, I didn't talk to any other coaches about it.
You didn't speak to the varsity coach about it.
No,
You didn't speak to the JV coach about it.
no, just our head coach, Ms. Powell.
You didn't go to the athletic director and say, Coach Powell wants to run a dangerous play with these boys.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't speak to the principal and say, Coach Powell wants to run a dangerous play with these boys.
No.
You're the offensive coordinator for this team.
Yes, I am.
The offensive coordinator oversees offensive plays.
I oversee the plays, I can give ideas, but the head coach has the final say in what plays are run.
The tush push is an offensive play though, correct?
Yes, it is.
You didn't refuse to run the play.
No, I didn't after Coach Powell did. She's the head coach.
You didn't threaten to quit if Coach Powell continued to run the play.
No, I didn't.
You continued as a member of this coaching staff,
Yes,
a coaching staff that you claim was running a dangerous play with these children.
yes,
Let's talk about whether this play was actually dangerous. Ms. Powell, you're aware that this play has been run 316 times in the NFL.
the tush push has, yes.
On those 316 plays, only 2 players have ever been injured.
Yeah, 2 Giants players.
Neither of those players were a quarterback.
No,
Prior to this accident, you're not aware of a single player, a single quarterback in the NFL that was injured on this play.
no, not during the tush push.
You're not aware of a single college player that was injured on this play. And prior to Marie Newbrands, you're not aware of a single high school player that was injured on this play.
No, but I don't know how many teams were doing it either.
So there's not a single quarterback at any level of football that you can point to outside of Marie Newbrands that was paralyzed on this play.
No,
You're not aware of a single quarterback at any level of football that was even injured on the play.
no, none.
Thank you, Ms. Clooney. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
And you redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Coach Mooney, I want to address some things that opposing counsel just brought up on cross-examination. They were focusing a lot on the statistics of the tush push, but was that the play that was ran on September 9th?
No, we were running the Marik sneak, which is a variation of the tush push, but not the one used in the NFL.
I have nothing further for this witness, Your Honor. May they be excused?
And you recross on that?
Brief recross, Your Honor.
Sure.
Ms. Clooney, in your own words, the play is substantially the same, correct?
Yes, the formation and everything is the same.
The offensive line does the same thing.
Yes, they do.
The players pushing the quarterback does the same thing.
Yes, they do.
The quarterback still takes a snap.
He does.
The quarterback still lunges forward with the ball, correct?
Yes, that's true.
Trying to gain 1 yard.
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
And the witness is excused. Any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Dr. Kensington Cotter to stand. Good afternoon, Dr. Cotter. Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
Of course, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Kensington Cotter.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Cotter?
Currently, I am a consultant physician with UCLA football team, and I'm also an attending physician in sports medicine at Cedars-Sinai.
How long have you been with the UCLA?
For the football team, I've been with them since 2017.
And what about the hospital, Cedars-Sinai?
2015 is when I started with them.
Now, before you got started in your career, could you walk the jury through your educational background?
Of course, yeah. So I got my bachelor's of science in biology from UC Berkeley. I then went on to get my medical degree from UCLA in 2011. And then I went on to do a 3-year residency at UCLA as well, followed by a fellowship specifically in sports medicine at UCLA as well.
Dr. Carter, you've been practicing for a while now. Do you have any awards or certifications involved with your work?
I do. I have 2 certifications, one by the American Board of Family Medicine, as well as one in sports medicine specifically. And then as for awards, I was the top sports physician by LA Magazine 3 years in a row, from 2022 to 2024.
Dr. Carter, you mentioned that you're certified as a family physician and that's part of your practice. How much of your practice would you say involves kids?
Well, my work had consisted of family medicine. That's what part of my education was in. So I make it a part of my practice currently today. It's still about 10% of my practice.
In addition to all the work you do with the hospital and the football team, have you done any writing on the topic of sports medicine?
Yes, I have. I was actually published by the American Journal of Sports Medicine about an article relating to the dangers associated with the tush push.
What goes into writing an article like that?
Well, a lot, to say the least. Everything from reviewing game footage, comparing it to other plays, and reviewing all the certain injuries and success rates having to do with that.
Dr. Carter, I want to jump back into your career. As a sports medicine physician, what kind of injuries do you typically see?
You know, they vary, anything from a sprained ankle to a concussion to some as severe as paralysis and major spine injuries.
How would you go about diagnosing someone with a spinal injury?
Well, just as any doctor would address any injury, you first try to understand what was occurring when that injury happened. So for example, with football, like with the UCLA football team, I look at what play was being run, what forces were being applied to the player when that player sustained that injury.
How many patients with spinal injuries would you say you've seen in your career?
It's been a while. I don't know if I could put one number on it. I'd have to say hundreds.
Dr. Carter, could you explain to the jury why you're testifying here today?
Yes, I was asked to give my opinion on the injury that Marie sustained because of this football game.
What materials did you use when you were coming to your opinion?
All of the exhibits and case materials provided to me, which included witness depositions, Marie's medical record, as well as all the various exhibits and images in this case file.
The procedures that you used, are those the types of procedures that would normally be relied on by another professional in your field?
Yes, sir, they are.
Did you come to your opinion today to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes.
Dr. Carter, do you think that your testimony would help explain to the jury what happened to Marika in this case?
Yes, I believe that it would be helpful.
Our plaintiff tenders Dr. Kensington Cotter as an expert in sports-related injuries.
Any objection to that tender as to sports-related injuries?
Your Honor, may I brief witness and then decide
Uh,
on the grounds of those specific qualifications?
No, I'm gonna ask you to, do you have an objection? It's okay, you can, and then then we can decide if it's going, but if you have an objection, I'd like to hear the grounds of it.
Under 702, this witness under sports medicine, they're qualifying them? Yes,
Yes.
no objection at that point then.
They're so tendered.
Dr. Carter, I want to jump back to the article that you said that you wrote about the tush push. Is the tush push universally considered a safe play at the NFL level?
No, even at the professional level, the safety of the play is often debated.
What is it that makes that play unsafe for NFL athletes?
Well, given the mechanisms, positioning, and forces having to do with the players during this play, for example, the quarterback is the one that sustains most of the forces during this play. He's propelled forward by his own players while also receiving force in the opposite direction from the defense, which puts extensive compression on his spine in opposing directions and can often lead to spinal injuries.
Dr. Carter, you mentioned
Objection, Your Honor, under 702, we've established that this witness can be qualified as an expert in sports medicine injuries. However, this witness is now starting to elaborate on spinal injuries in particular. It is our contention today that this witness does not have the qualifications or specialized knowledge under 702, specifically prongs A and D, to talk about those spinal injuries and how those spinal injuries occur.
Response?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe defense counsel opened this door on their direct with their witness when talking to the coach. Spinal injuries, concussions, even death can occur when playing this sport. Therefore, that would be a sports-related injury, which is what this expert intended.
So. I'll give you one last argument, as it's true.
Yes, Your Honor. While a spinal injury has occurred here and this witness is a sports medicine doctor, her board certification is in family medicine. She has an added qualification in sports medicine and works in that field. But spinal injuries and how they occur and what forces were applied where, that's something that you need a neurological background on, or something of orthopedic surgeon. This witness does not have those qualifications, and thus speaking on those matters, they're not qualified to do so.
A brief response, Your Honor.
Very brief.
It was established in the qualifications that this specific physician has worked on hundreds of spines, diagnosed hundreds of spines, and those being football specific. Therefore, she's more than qualified to talk about how the spine is affected in playing the sport.
Your Honor, if I may respond briefly.
You have a sentence.
Yes, Your Honor. While they have stated that they treated spinal injuries, they cannot come to the conclusion of how those spinal injuries occur, the causational aspect.
So I think this is well argued. I'll let her give that opinion. Feel free to delve into that in cross-examination. I expect you will. But we'll let her give that opinion relating to the football specific spinal injury.
Thank you.
For that, Dr. Cotter, I'm gonna ask that question one more time. What makes the play unsafe for NFL athletes?
Well, as I was saying, the opposing forces that are going on one particular player, all that compression on his spine can cause significant spinal injuries.
Dr. Cotter, you mentioned forces that are applied when this play is being run and medical terminology. Would it be helpful for the jury to understand what those forces are if you used a model spine?
Yes, sir, I believe that would be helpful.
Your Honor, may the witness step down and interact what was previously admitted as Exhibit 7?
Yes.
Dr. Carter, using this model spine, could you explain to the jury what you mean when you say that forces are applied when this play is being run?
Of course. So as I said, his teammates on the quarterback would be pushing him forward while the defense is pushing in the opposite direction. And that would cause axial loading. Now, axial loading is very common and occurs when there's any force of compression on the spine. It can even occur when you're sitting down. But this play significantly increases that axial loading, that compression on that spine when the forces are going in opposing directions.
Dr. Cotter, is this play the same for NFL athletes and high school athletes?
No, sir, it's not.
What's the difference?
Well, at the NFL level, not only are they more skilled and more experienced, but they're also fully developed by that age. A high schooler is underdeveloped and weaker, meaning their vertebrae is not as strong and their bodies are not as strong to absorb all those forces that are put on them.
Based on everything that you reviewed in this case, Dr. Cotter, would Coach Powell have had any indication that you should not run this specific play?
There was a ban that would be taking place outlawing certain plays like this that causes this force that would have taken effect the next season.
Defense counsel mentioned that no high school athlete has been injured running this play. Do you know why that would be based on what you reviewed?
Well, because of that rule, many schools had adopted it already, so they didn't run this play because of the dangers associated with it.
How many states have adopted that rule?
48 states had already adopted this.
So we've established this play, the tush push at the NFL level, is more dangerous for high school athletes. Is that the play that Klein High School ran when Marie was in?
No, sir, they ran that play with a modification that altered the play and the positioning of the players.
If you were to see a video of the way that the Eagles run this play, would that help explain to the jury what those modifications were?
Yes, I think it would help explain the difference.
Your Honor, before I have the witness interact with this exhibit, would the court like to see the video that's being discussed?
Which exhibit number is it?
It's exhibit 9.
Okay, so it's already in evidence, that's.
It's already in it, yes, Your Honor. Now, Dr. Carter, I'm going to let this video play once in its entirety for the jury to see so they have context for what's being discussed. Okay, Dr. Carter, before I let the video play again, could you explain what we're looking at here at the still image before the
Of course. So over here, the Eagles would be our offense for this play. And here in white, we would have the defense. So when the ball is snapped, that'll be going to the quarterback. And when Jalen Hurts receives the ball, he'll be propelled forward, pushed forward by his own players, as well as receiving force from the players in white, the defense.
Could you show where the quarterback is here?
Yes, he would be right here, ready for the snap.
Now I'm gonna let this video play on repeat at 0.5 speed, and could you explain to the jury the forces that are being applied?
Of course. So as I said, as he receives the snap, his players are pushing him forward and the defense in white is pushing at him in the opposing direction. So those opposing forces are causing what I refer to as axial loading. And that's causing compression on the spine. So here you'll see that Mr. Hurts is being pushed in a more upright position and he kind of maintains that positioning throughout the play.
So that's how the play is run at the NFL level. Now, using this spine, could you now explain the way that Klein High School forced Marie to run this play?
Yes, sir, of course. So as I stated, Mr. Hurts was in a more upright position. So that would have meant his spine was more here when he received the snap, as well as when he was pushed forward, as well as when he received that opposing force from the defense. So yes, axial loading was occurring, but not to a significant degree.
Now, how was Marie running this play at the instruction of his coaches?
So Marie's positioning would be more like this, as he was told to be parallel to the ground, chest parallel to the ground, chin tucked in and head down. If you don't mind holding this for me, counselor. So what that would have looked like for the play would his teammates would be pushing him forward while the defense is pushing him back this way. So what we would see here is a compression of the spine. And that axial loading is significantly increased when he is parallel to the ground as he was instructed to be.
Dr. Cotter, could you explain the injury that Marie suffered as a result of running the play this way?
Yes, sir. So again, he would have been in this positioning, receiving force from both sides, and that would have caused a pressure. And as I said before, since he was an underdeveloped athlete, he's less likely to be able to absorb that force. So Marie specifically received a severing of his C4 vertebrae, which would have been right about here. So when that axial loading happened, that force had nowhere to go other than shattering his C4.
What is an injury like that, shattering your C4 vertebrae? What does that mean for Marik?
So again, the C4 would have been right about here. What that would have meant is that everything from here down, he would have lost feeling after that severance.
With an injury this severe, Dr. Cotter, how long is it gonna take for Marik to heal?
Objection, Your Honor. This case is bifurcated. This testimony about how long it would have taken him to heal goes towards damages. We are not here to discuss damages here today.
Response?
Your Honor, as part of the negligence claim, we do have to establish that damage did occur. This doctor hasn't gone into anything beyond the injury that Marik experienced on that day, and that's all that she's discussing.
Okay, here's number two. The testimony will be limited to stating simply what the result was, the injury itself, as much as you can. Through your question, anything beyond paralysis, I will sustain.
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Cotter, what was the result of Marik's injury?
Again, that severance, that shattering of his C4 would have caused him to lose movement and have irreversible paralysis.
Thank you, Dr. Cotter. Take your seat. Nothing further, Your Honor. Ask this witness.
That's whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Dr. Cotter.
Good afternoon.
You're not a spine surgeon.
No, I'm not.
You're not a neurosurgeon.
No, that's not where my qualifications are.
This is the first time you've ever been retained as an expert on a football case,
Yes, because I believe in being more hands-on than in the courtroom.
but this is your first time. So yes,
Yes,
this is also your first time ever being retained as an expert on a spinal injury case.
yes,
Now, I want to talk to you about your conclusions that you came to today. I want to start off with your conclusion that the tush push was unsafe. That was one of your conclusions, right?
yes, ma'am, it was.
Dr. Cotter, you're not here to say that tackle football should be banned for high schoolers, right?
Well, no, ma'am, that was an opinion that I held about the tush push even before this case came to my desk.
Well, get back to my question. You're not here to say that tackle football should be banned for freshmen in high school.
I think it should be made safer whenever it can be.
You're not asking to ban it, right?
No,
Correct. You're also not here saying that freshmen should play flag football instead.
will it reduce the harm? Potentially, then, sure, I mean, I think whatever could be potentially made safer, we should try to make it safer.
But you're not here today saying that freshmen should play flag football instead, right?
No,
Your conclusion regarding the tush push is that leagues should carefully consider the medical issues before allowing this play.
as well as coaches and anyone responsible for young children, yes.
Now, you're aware that Klein High School was located in Pennsylvania,
Yes,
and the Pennsylvania Athletic Association, well, they govern Pennsylvania high school football plays.
they do, yes.
You're aware that the Pennsylvania Athletic Association permitted the tush push in 2024.
They did permit, but not encourage, yes.
It was legal in 2024, correct?
It hadn't been banned yet, that's correct.
My question is a lot simpler. Yes or no? Is it legal in 2024?
It wasn't banned, that's correct.
Now I want to move on to your conclusions regarding axial loading. You claimed that multiple players have been paralyzed by axial loading.
It can happen, it has, axial loading has actually resulted in paralysis and before.
But you also admit that paralysis from axial loading is quite rare.
Depends on what you define as rare, I mean, paralysis is very severe, so I mean, it can happen.
But axial loading leading to paralysis, you've stated that it's quite rare.
Sure,
Two players that you mentioned that were paralyzed by axial loading, they weren't paralyzed from the tush push.
no, not from my knowledge.
The first player that you had referenced was a player by the name of Dennis Bird.
Yes,
Now, Dennis Bird was not paralyzed from the tush push, right?
I don't believe so, but again, axial loading occurs in all plays. This this particular play just happened to significantly increase that.
I was just focused on Dennis Bird in that moment. Dennis Bird is not paralyzed with tush push.
No.
Dennis Bird was paralyzed on a defensive play.
Sure.
Dennis Bird was paralyzed by colliding with his teammate trying to tackle the quarterback.
I'd have to do more research into Mr. Bird's injury.
Well, you wrote a report or an article about Mr. Bird, correct?
I did mention his name. Yes, nothing further about his particular injury.
You mentioned that he was paralyzed, right?
Yes, but I didn't go into specifics about the forces and plays that contributed to that injury.
Are you saying you don't know why he was paralyzed?
I'm saying that's not what my article is about.
Objection, Your Honor. Maybe we have to from the jury. Sure. This is getting a bit cumulative, and I'm curious as to the relevance.
So is your objection to relevance or
It's
if you?
401 and 402,
Okay,
Your Honor.
so, I don't believe the witness has actually answered any of the questions directly, so I'm gonna overrule the objection as to cumulative, as to relevance, in response.
Yes, Your Honor, this was something that the own expert has written about. It was a player that she had mentioned in one of her articles regarding the risks of tush push. It's incredibly relevant as to what they knew about that play, how that player was paralyzed, because they mention that this player was paralyzed by axial loading, something that's been discussed at large in this trial today. The fact that this witness doesn't know how that person was paralyzed is incredibly important as to her testimony and her credibility today.
Okay, the objection is overruled.
So I'll ask you again. Dennis Bird was paralyzed when he was colliding with his teammate.
Yes, axial loading occurred and he sustained an injury.
The second player you referenced was a player by the name of Devin Gales, right?
Correct.
Devin Gales was paralyzed on a punt play.
Sure.
Devin Gales, not the quarterback.
No.
Other than Marique Nuberance, you can't name a single player that has been paralyzed on the tush push.
Well, neither was Marique. Marique was paralyzed from the Marique sneak
Well, Marique Sneak is a version of the tush push, right?
with a significant modification.
I'm solely asking about, other than Marique Nuberance, you can't name a single player that has ever been paralyzed.
Not from the tush push.
And there's no quarterback that has ever been, not even paralyzed, hurt on the tush push.
From the traditional tush push that we saw in the video, no.
And in college, the tush pushes ran, no injuries.
I'm sorry, were you referring to the tush push?
Yes, in
Marique.
college.
Okay, the tush push, no injuries in college either.
And let's talk about what we know about the NFL. In the NFL, the tush push has been ran on 316 plays.
Yes, the tush push indicated with the more upright positioning, yes, ma'am.
But it's been ran 316 plays, right?
As I said, yes.
And in 316 plays, only 2 players have been injured.
From the tush push, yes.
Those 2 players were hurt in the same game,
Yes.
on the same exact play.
From the tush push, yes.
They weren't quarterbacks,
No.
and their injuries weren't spinal injuries.
From the tush push, no.
Now, I want to talk to you about your conclusion regarding how Klein ran this play, the preparation of it.
Okay.
You're aware that on August 20th, Coach Powell taught the team the tush push.
Yes, that's what he started the play with and then modified.
And while he was teaching the tush push, he spoke to each and every player what they were supposed to do.
Yes.
Meaning, he took the left guard, showed him what to do and where to stand.
Could you clarify, are you referring to the tush push or the Marique sneak?
This play that they ran, Marique Sneak.
Okay, the Marique sneak that's in their playbook, yes, he instructed them on that play.
So he took the left guard and he showed him where to stand, right?
Right.
Objection, Your Honor. Yeah, we are subject to the jury. Sure. This is outside this witness's area of expertise. She wasn't at the practice. She can't possibly speak to what Coach Klein did with each individual player while at that practice.
Your Honor, may I be heard?
Sure.
This witness has reviewed all of the documents, including Mr. Powell's deposition. Mr. Powell goes on to extensively elaborate on the fact that in this practice, he did speak to each and every player and showed them what they were supposed to do. This is something that the witness does know about, and since they are coming to the conclusion on whether or not this play was medically safe and what was done, they have given a conclusion about the preparation of this play. It is relevant to this matter.
Your Honor, what Coach Powell said is that, if I may proper, that he did speak to the players and tell them how to run the plays, but getting specific as to what Coach Powell told the left guard to do or the right guard to do or other individual players on the play, this witness can't speak to that.
Well, I suppose to that extent, we'll see how the witness answers. If they can't speak to that, they will say that.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Coach Powell, he took the left guard and he showed him what to do.
He told all his players what to do. Yes.
And he took the left tackle and he showed him what to do.
Yes.
He took the center, showed him what to do.
I would imagine so, yes.
Well, that's what you read about, right?
That he prepared all his players or told them what to do, yes.
He took Marik Nugaris, the quarterback, told him what to do.
He not only told him, he pushed him down into the positioning, yes.
He even showed Marik a photo of Jalen Hurts and how he runs the tuition push.
He did and told him to run it even lower. Yes.
And after he did that with all 11 players.
Well, he didn't instruct all 11 players to use their body in the same way that he instructed Marik. So no, I can't agree with that.
I'll clarify. He told all 11 players what they were supposed to do on the play.
Yes,
And after he did that, they ran the play.
they did.
They ran it a second time,
Correct.
ran it a third time.
Yes.
On August 20th, after teaching the play and running it 3 times, no player got injured.
No, not from my knowledge.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Cotter, it was just extensively discussed that Coach Powell told each and every player what to do, including Marie, correct?
Yes,
When the play was run for the 4th time on September 9th, did those players listen to Coach Powell's instructions?
they did. Specifically, Marie did.
And what happened as a result of them listening to Coach Powell's instructions?
Well, when Marie ran it, as I showed you with the spine, in a parallel way, lower than Jalen Hurts did, and you allowing his body to be used as a battering ram, he was paralyzed.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Can you cross based on that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, it was excused. Plaintiff, any additional evidence or testimony?
No, Your Honor. Plaintiff rest.
Defendant, do we have any motions or anything like that to take up?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 50A, defense moves forward. Judgment as a matter of law. No plaintiff witness has shared that Klein High School breached the standard of care that it owes its students. The plaintiff has failed to establish that Thomas R. Klein High School has caused Marie's injury. Evidence presented on the plaintiff's case in chief indicates that football in and of itself is a violent game. Both Ms. Clooney and Dr. Cotter conceded that injuries are sustained in football games, particularly paralysis, which has occurred here.
Thoughts?
Yes, Your Honor, as I would like to remind the court, in looking at this motion in light most favorable to us, a reasonable juror could find that we have proved breach and causation. Let me attack breach first. In this case, you heard from the testimony that these coaches, they knew that this play was dangerous, that it was going to be banned, and they ran it anyway. That proves that they breached their duty of care. Additionally, Your Honor, for causation, you heard from Dr. Cotter, her testimony, the fact that these coaches instructed Marie to be parallel to the ground, the fact that it received 2 forces from both ends, that proves that this decision led to Marie's injury, which was paralysis. And we proved both of those claims.
Okay, well argued, the motion is denied. Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I think everyone's back. So defense, do you intend to put on a case?
Yes, Your Honor, may I have a brief moment to set up the well?
Sure, yeah. Are you planning on calling witness?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time we call Jackie Collins to the stand.
Great.
Have a seat.
You may.
Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury. Hi, my name is Jackie Powell. What do you do for work? I'm the head coach at Thomas Klein freshman football. How long have you been working at Thomas Klein? I started in 2016 and I got promoted to head coach in 2022. Now, before we talk about the incident, who's on the 2024 coaching staff? There's 3 other coaches. There's the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, special teams, and then we also have a trainer. Now, for a little more background on football, how long have you been around football? I've been around football my whole life. My dad, my brother played football. My dad coached it, so I used to watch it, coach all the time, and yeah, became a real passion for me. How would you describe your coaching style? Tough. It's football, so we're training them to be tough enough to play the sport. Now, for the members of the jury who aren't super familiar with football, can you please describe the physical nature of 9th grade football? Football is very physical. There's physical contact in every single play of every single game. You mentioned that there is a lot of physical contact. Are there ever any injuries that occur? Yes. You take a risk every time you step onto the football field that you're going to get hurt. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about Marique specifically. Who is Marique? Marique was the quarterback of the team in 2024. Now, did Marique ever tell you that he thought football was too violent for him? No, he never said that to me. Did Marique ever say that he didn't want to play football because of its violence? No. Now, I want to talk to you about the play in question. We've heard a lot about the tush push already. What is it? It's basically a play that you utilize in short yardage situations. It's where the quarterback is directly behind the center. He gets the ball, and the objective is for the offensive line and the players behind the quarterback to push him to gain a few yards. Would you recognize Exhibit 3, which is a diagram of the tush push, if I present it to you today? Yes. Let the record reflect I'm approaching witness with what is in evidence Exhibit 3. What is that? This is our version of the tush push that we presented to the players back in 2024. And would an exact enlargement of Exhibit 3 help in your testimony today? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, would you allow the witness to step down and make use of the exact enlargement of Exhibit 3? Sure. Coach Powell, using Exhibit 3, can you explain what the tush push players are supposed to do during the play? Sure. So this is the offensive line. Basically, they're supposed to push up against the defensive line. This is the quarterback who's supposed to kind of push around to be able to get some yardage. And then these players behind the quarterback are supposed to push the quarterback to help them get that yardage. Now, what's this square right here? That's the center. Do you know what their job is? Their job is to snap the ball to the quarterback and then also push forward against the defensive line. And the tush push, was it used in your playbook? Yes. Now, since we know it was used in the playbook, when did you give the team the playbook? We gave them the playbook on July 15, 2024. How did you come to add this play to your playbook? Well, I had seen it run in the NFL. I'm a big fan of the Eagles. I'd seen them run it, and we were having some trouble in our short yardage situation, so I decided to implement it here. When was the first time that you introduced the actual practice of it?
During one of our summer practices on August 20th of 2024.
Okay, so August 20th, you introduced the team to Tush Push. I want to talk a little bit more about August 20th. How did you first introduce the Tush Push?
So I spoke to each of the players individually about their role in the play.
And you mentioned you spoke to them individually. Can you give an example of, point to any one of the players on the board, of what you did and told the player?
Sure, so I take someone like the center and tell them that your job is to snap the ball to the quarterback and then push up against the defensive line to help him get the yards.
Just to clarify, how many players did you do that similar technique with?
I walk through the play with each of the players individually, so all of them.
Thank you. You can return back to your seat now. So now I want to turn to the legality and safety of this play. The plaintiff claims that the Tush Push was unsafe. First, was the Tush Push allowed or legal in Pennsylvania?
Yes,
Was it allowed in college football?
yes,
So now that we know the play is legal, I want to talk about its safety. Are you aware or have you ever heard or seen any quarterback that has been injured on the Tush Push?
no,
And are you aware of any other high school teams in Pennsylvania that run it?
no,
The plaintiff claims the Tush Push is unsafe because you didn't research it. Did you research the play?
not independently, but like I said, I've been watching the Eagles my whole life. I've watched them run it probably dozens, maybe hundreds of times.
And why did you feel you needed to research it?
Because I've never seen anyone get hurt in all of those hundreds of times.
Now, so now that we know it's safe and legal, I want to talk a little bit more about what you did on August 20th, after you taught the team the Tush Push. What'd you do then?
I had them practice it about 3 times.
How did those 3 times go?
Perfect. Everybody ran the play exactly how we wanted it to. We were able to get the yards. We didn't have any problems.
And after August 20th, did you guys run the Tush Push again?
Yes, the next time we ran it was on September 5th at our first game.
Now, after the first game, on September 5th, you run the practice or Tush Push again after that?
We did. We ran it on September 9th, and that's the day that Marie got hurt.
I want to talk about September 9th. You mentioned you ran the Tush Push on that date. What happened when you first ran the Tush Push?
So when we ran it, everybody ran the play exactly the way we practiced it, exactly the way we wanted to. But after the play, when people were getting up, we noticed that Marie wasn't moving, so I called 911.
Coach, you're the person who taught the team this play. On that date, did you notice any player doing anything unsafe?
No,
And what happened after Marie didn't get up?
he didn't get up. We had to call 911, and I later found out that he became paralyzed.
Thank you. No further questions. Would you like me to do that?
It's fine, it's fine. Yes, Your Honor. Yeah. Coach Powell, you mentioned that you have been the head coach at Klein High School since 2022, is that right?
Yes,
About 3 years?
yes,
First 2 seasons, they didn't go very well for you, did they?
that's right.
You had 1 win and 9 losses, right?
Yes, each season.
2 years in a row.
Yes,
Klein High School, that's a school that takes football pretty seriously, don't they?
yes,
So going into your 3rd season, you felt that your job was on the line, didn't you?
yes,
Opposing counsel mentioned that your coaching style is tough, right?
absolutely.
That tough coaching style involves you yelling at your players, doesn't it?
Yes.
You even curse at your players as part of your coaching style.
I don't know a coach that coaches football that doesn't.
You even tend to throw things when you get angry enough, don't you?
Sure, not at the players, but on the ground.
Well, this coaching style, it's not well received by everyone, is it?
I'm sure it's not.
Your Honor, may I approach this witness?
What are you approaching with?
The subject of our motion, limine.
Okay. You may.
Coach Powell, you recognize this?
Yes,
This is an email that was sent by a parent, correct?
that's right.
And you were made aware of this email by your athletic director, Albert Caroline.
Yes,
On the from line, that is Albert Caroline, correct?
yes,
That's his school email address.
right.
To line, that is your name, Jack Powell,
Yes,
your school email address.
yes,
You were sent this email on August 9th, correct?
that's right.
Is there an accurate depiction of the email that you were made aware of?
Yes,
Your Honor, plaintiff moves to enter what was previously marked as Exhibit 4 for identification into evidence as Exhibit 4.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to re-raise my motion in limine and precluding this exhibit. It is not being used for notice here. Notice is, or may be being used for notice, but in this case, notice is not relevant. We are here discussing whether or not this organization, this high school was here not negligent, to not reach any standard of care. This was an incident that occurred 3 years prior when Coach Powell was not the head coach. He was in a different position. It's a singular incident and it doesn't discuss any of the plays that we're here talking about today.
So,
Brief response to that, Karen?
yeah, so given the context in which you brought this exhibit up, what's the relevance?
Your Honor, it's absolutely relevant because the email, as you'll hear, involves coaching decisions that were made by Coach Powell. And Coach Powell was then put on notice, along with his athletic director, Albert Caroline, that those coaching decisions were viewed as dangerous. His approach to player safety was viewed as dangerous. Being put on notice that those decisions should maybe be reevaluated going forward.
Brief
Your Honor.
response.
We are here discussing whether this play and running this push or the Marie sneak is what's at issue, whether that play, running it, was negligent. We're not here discussing whether or not he was negligent in the past or anything like that, or whether the school was on notice about his type of coaching or how excessive he was in his practices, not allowing him on water breaks or something along those lines. We're here talking about a specific play.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna let it in, for the limited purpose of putting on notice that some other individuals, whoever they may be, did not view, the coaching styles as favorably. And that's the limiting instruction that I will leave the jury on this.
Yes, Your Honor. May I remove Exhibit 3 from the shows?
Yeah.
Your Honor, may I publish?
No. We will send it back to jury after I give that curative instruction, but not before.
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach this witness?
Yes.
Can I have you a copy of that email? Coach Powell, in this email that you were made aware of, the parent accused you of not allowing students to get water breaks when it was 90 degrees outside, right?
Objection, Your Honor, I think this goes past the limiting instruction. This is just delving into the exact email contents of that complaint.
I tend to agree with that. So
Your Honor,
my understanding was that you were going to bring it in to say that some other people viewed the style as negative or unsafe, not the exact details. Are you planning on going into the specific details of the email?
Your Honor, it's the coaching decisions that were made specifically by Coach Powell that he was put on notice of being dangerous. Without the exact decisions that are being discussed, it doesn't have the same effect, and it would confuse the issues in this case.
I understand how it doesn't have the same effect, but in terms of so just simply, you want to go into the details, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so your objection is going into the details.
Yes, Your
What is
Honor.
the basis of the objection
Under
on there?
404, this goes beyond notice. This is showing propensity purposes which are not permitted. Propensity in regards to how this coach was doing something that may have been negligent in the past and confusing the jury in that sense as to they may have done something in today's proceeding that may be deemed as negligent as well. These jurors may be confused about the specifics of what happened in that play or in that incident with the incident we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about one play that was not mentioned in that email. Like again, this email was 3 years ago. They were not in the position of head coach as they were in today's proceedings. And thus, it's not relevant to talk about those things. And Your Honor, opposing counsel is solely using it for propensity.
Your Honor, if I may offer a compromise.
Well, I was gonna let you respond on the 404 if you'd like to first. But
Your Honor, it would be the same as the motion to eliminate. It's not being offered for propensity. It's being offered solely for notice purposes. And if opposing counsel is amenable, I will limit that testimony to a specific warning of notice that these coaching decisions may have an ill effect on the students that this parent made.
Okay, so let's get, I apologize, a bit granular with the exact language, because I think I misunderstood it initially, so I want to make sure I understand well what we're gonna do. So what is your exact proposal as to what we will question, and then we can see if everyone's okay?
There's a specific line of this, of Coach Powell being put on notice that the specific decisions, I won't go into those decisions specifically, but the notice of the effect that those decisions can have, and it being not best for the students, to say the least. That is what I will go into, not the specific decisions, but the notice.
Okay, here's what we'll do then. We will use it just for that purpose, just to show that some decisions may not be best for students. Notice on that, but not the underlying details of the exact things. Is that all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great.
Now, Coach Powell, throughout this email, certain decisions were mentioned that this specific parent didn't view favor, correct?
Sure, parent, like my coaching staff.
And near the end of this email, this parent warned you that if those decisions continued, that it could be a repeat of the Rory Street incident in Waco, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. This also goes towards propensity purposes. They're going beyond the limiting instruction at this point.
I tend to disagree. I'm gonna overrule it. I think he's staying within the limiting instruction, the second one that we were able to get to. You can ask that question.
This parent warned you, once again, that if your decisions remain the same, your approach, your coaching style remain the same, it could lead to another Rory Street incident like the one in Waco, correct?
She didn't quite word it like that, not the whole of my decision. I think it was in relation to a specific decision. She said that that specific decision reminded her of that incident in Waco.
And that incident in Waco, that is the incident where an athlete died due to coaching decisions, isn't it?
An athlete died because of extreme weather, yes.
And at the very top of this email, the section that was written by Albert Caroline, your athletic director. Your athletic director did tell you, as a result of this email, that you should discuss the safety of any drills or practice plans with your athletic directors or with your athletic trainers going forward. Isn't that right?
Mr. Caroline encouraged me. It wasn't like I had to, but it was encouraged, yes.
And encouragement. Okay, got that. I mean, Coach Kyle, you received this email on August 9th, isn't that right?
Of 2021, yes.
And a month before that, that's when you were discussing with Coach Clooney about the idea of running the tush push.
Objection,
In
Your
July.
Honor. I believe co-counsel is confusing the issues. This is going towards confusing the jury at this moment.
Can you elaborate?
Yes, Your Honor. The email that they were referring to was in 2021. They're referencing this email in regards to what's happening today in court today. The incident today we're talking about is in 2024. The emails are 3 years apart, Your Honor. Talking about this email in regards to what they did after the email is gonna confuse the jury as to what this email is really about.
I think that goes to an argument. You can argue that and close that there's a time gap, but the question is phrased was admissible. Overruled.
Once again, Coach Powell, after you received this email, you were having a discussion with Coach Clooney about the potential for running the tush push, right?
Yes.
And when you were having that discussion, you weren't sure yourself if the tush push was safe for your students to run, were you?
I asked Coach Clooney about its safety, yes.
Right, you asked Coach Clooney if he was sure, if she was sure that this play was safe, didn't you?
Yes.
And at the same time, during that discussion, you were aware that Pennsylvania had adopted a rule that would ban this play for the very next season.
Yes.
So you were unaware of the safety, unsure of the safety of the play, and that you wouldn't be able to run the play the very next season, did you discuss the safety of that play with your athletic trainers?
I did not, no.
Even though your athletic director encouraged you to do so.
Right, she encouraged it.
Outside of watching NFL games, did you do any research to determine for yourself if this play was safe for your students to run?
No, I just watched the games and saw that no one got hurt.
And you didn't even from the play, from those games that you were watching, the same way that they run it, did you?
That's right,
You made some modifications.
yes,
You didn't do any research about whether or not those modifications were safe either, did you?
no,
You didn't phone a friend about whether or not these might be safe modifications.
no, it was the same formation, just a different technique.
You didn't call your friend Dr. Adams, did you?
No,
Dr. Adams, who is a neurosurgeon, right?
yes,
Dr. Adams, who's a neurosurgeon that you are good friends with, right?
yeah, I don't contact my neurosurgeon about every play that we run.
Not even about plays that you're not sure if they're safe or not.
Not about plays that I haven't seen anyone get hurt from.
You did no research about whether or not this play was safe. You ran the play anyway, and you ran it different. Now, you went through some of the modifications on direct. But before that, you said that you instruct your players exactly what to do, right?
That's right,
A moment ago, you said that you instructed the center to drive forward on this play, right?
yes,
It was alluded to that you instructed the left guard to drive forward to make room for Marique coming through the line, right?
that's right,
Now, your instruction for Marique here was different because you told Marique that he needed to be parallel to the ground, right?
that's right,
His body completely flat,
that's right,
his head facing straight down, right?
yes,
Meaning he couldn't look up to see the defense, right?
yes,
He didn't see what was coming in front of him.
yes,
And you said that you made that modification for safety, right?
that's right, so we wouldn't be having as much direct contact with the defenders on the other side.
At the same time, you told Marique and the players that were shoving him from behind that they should use his body like a human spear, right?
Yes,
And was that decision for safety as well?
yes,
You wanted a 14-year-old 5'2" athlete to use his body like a human spear being shoved through the line for safety. I just want that to be very clear for the jury. Is that right?
yes,
Without any research on whether or not that was a good idea.
I mean, I watched the games,
You watched the way the Eagles run the play,
yes,
and then you changed it.
make it safer. Yes,
Because running through the line with your head down, you're safe.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Because running through the line with your head down, being used like a human spear, is safer, right?
yes,
Rick's a pretty coachable kid, wasn't
was,
he? He listened exactly to what you told him to do.
yes,
So did the other players.
yes,
It was clear that no one on that field did anything that you didn't coach them to do, right?
for the most part,
They all followed your instructions perfect.
yes,
On September 9th, when Rick ran that play, he didn't get up.
that's right.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Can you read, Frank?
Yes, Your Honor. Coach Powell, I want to talk about the email that you just asked questions about. When did you receive that email?
In 2021,
And when did Marie get hurt? Or when, sorry, withdrawn that question. When did you talk to Mr. Clooney about the play you were planning on?
2024,
And I want to talk to you about the differences between the tush push and the Marie snake.
okay,
What were the differences? Were they run the same?
it was the same play, just a different technique
Why did you run it like that?
to make it safer so that Marie wasn't subject to so many defenders hitting him head on.
Thank you, no further questions.
Here we cross.
Hang on.
Excuse me. Dennis, do you have any other witnesses or testimony or evidence you want to put on?
Yes, Your Honor, at this point, the defense calls Dr. Omega Adams. Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself to members of the jury.
Good afternoon. My name is Omega Adams, and I'm a doctor now.
Dr. Adams, what do you do for work?
So I'm a neurosurgeon at the University of Alabama Hospital, and then on the side, I have my own consulting practice.
For those not familiar with the practice of medicine, would you explain what a neurosurgeon does?
So I'm in charge of any condition of the nervous system, from diagnosis of that condition all the way through surgery and to the treatment after.
And you mentioned earlier that you have a consulting business. What type of consulting do you do?
So I do consulting on any type of injury that has neurological risk. That includes things like traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord trauma, and biomechanical injury causation.
Dr. Adams, how are you involved in today's case?
So I was hired by the defense to determine whether or not the tush push play was medically safe for high school players, and then to determine the mechanism of injury for Marie Newbers.
Were you able to reach that conclusion to a reasonable degree, medical certainty?
Yes, sir.
Before we discuss your conclusions, let's talk more about your qualifications. Would you describe your educational background?
Sure. So in 1997, 96, I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Biology from Stanford University. And then in 2001, I got my MD from the University of Alabama at Birmingham School of Medicine.
You mentioned that you got your MD. You became a physician at that point?
So then I had my residency.
So when you became, withdraw. So what's a residency?
So it's where you, while you're in medical school, you begin to take notes and learn from doctors on the job.
So after completing your residency, then what happened?
That's when I became a practicing physician.
Are you board certified?
I am. I'm board certified by the American Board of Neurosurgery, and I'm also a fellow of that board.
Need to be board certified.
Essentially, I'm a big nerd, but really, after you get your MD, you get additional certification in testing and training that gets you over the top and an additional certification on top of what you already have.
So over your career as a neurosurgeon, around how many patients have you treated with cervical spine injuries?
Over 1,000.
Have you previously been retained as an expert?
Yes, sir, in about 120 cases.
When you have been retained as an expert, do you typically work for the plaintiff or the defense in a case?
The defense.
Have you testified in court of law?
Yes, at both the federal and state level.
Your Honor, at this time, pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 702, I now offer Dr. Adams as an expert in traumatic spinal cord injuries and biomechanical injury causation.
Any objection to that tender in spinal cord injuries and biomechanical causation?
Biomechanical injury causation.
Injury causation.
No objection as to that tendering, Your Honor.
Okay, so they're accepted.
Dr. Adams, are you being compensated for your time away from the hospital?
Of course. From my time away from the hospital and my litigation consulting business, I'm being paid somewhere in the ballpark of $30,000 per year.
Prior to reaching your conclusion in this case, what facts and data did you review?
So I reviewed all of the exhibits in this case, this is 1 through 24, as well as the party stipulations.
Is your conclusion in this case the product of reliable principles and methods?
Yes, sir.
What principles and methods did you apply coming to your conclusion in this case?
Any and all medical and orthopedic principles that I use on a daily basis, that I have been using on a daily basis for over 20 years now.
Please tell the members of the jury, what is your conclusion regarding the medical safety of the play as run by Klein High School?
That this play is medically safe.
Objection. May we be heard outside the presence of the jury?
Sure.
So this opposing counsel tendered this witness in traumatic spinal cord injuries and biomechanical causation. The question was, what is the safety of this play? Your Honor, this witness is not qualified to talk about the safety of this play, given that it is a football play. We haven't heard any testimony from this witness that they have the knowledge to be able to attest to the formation of a play and whether that formation is safe for a player. They can talk about the forces in the play and how those forces impact the spine, but as far as attesting to the safety of the play, they can't do that.
Your Honor, it's undisputed there was a spinal injury obtained in this case. The witness has already testified regarding biomechanical injury causation. Which one? I've already offered this witness as an expert in biomechanical injury causation. Biomechanical injury causation is in and of itself certainly you should be allowed to explore the causal mechanism in this case.
If I may, Your Honor. Again, we have no objection to the causation of the biomechanics. This witness is qualified. They can talk about that. However, they cannot talk about the tush push's safety and comparing that to other plays because again, you've heard no testimony that they are qualified to talk about the football play and how that play is safe compared to other plays.
It's a close one. I am going to, I'm going to allow the opinion. Feel free to bring that up on cross-examination. I think it goes a little more to weight, for the, kind of credibility of the testimony of the expert, than the admissibility of it. So I'll let you explore that on cross.
Dr. Adams, what's your conclusion in this case?
That this play was medically safe for high schoolers.
Let's talk about that finding. Dr. Adams, do you have any medical experience working on the spines of football players?
Yes, I've treated 9 football players for football injuries due to the spine.
Now, generally speaking, is the tush push play safe for a player's head, neck, or spine?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm publishing what's already in evidence as Exhibit 3. Now, Dr. Adams, taking a look at Exhibit 3, would you explain to the members of the jury why this play is safe for a player's head, neck, or spine?
Sure. So that play that we're looking at, every player is positioned closely together. You're not having any blindside full speed hits. Everybody is pushing with low impact forces and they're right pretty close to each other.
Thank you. Taking down Exhibit 3. Now, Dr. Adams, in your review of this case, did you review any injury data?
I did.
What injury data did you review?
So in the National Football League, the data shows that in the 316 times that tush push has been run, only 2 players were injured, and that was on the same play in the same game.
Were you in the courtroom today when Dr. Cotter testified that there's no injury data regarding this play in high school?
Yes.
Did you agree with that?
No.
Why did you agree with that?
Because when I did my research, I found that 2 teams in Texas have been running this play since the 23-24 season with no injuries reported.
Let's talk about Dr. Cotter's other conclusions in this case. Dr. Adams, are you familiar with Dr. Adams' conclusions in this case?
Dr. Cotter, yes, still.
Pardon me. How are you familiar with them?
So I reviewed her conclusions and coming to my own conclusions in this case. That includes her report, her deposition, and her CV, as well as an article that she wrote in the year past. Plus, I was in court when she testified today.
Did Dr. Cotter's article discuss any incidents of injury on the tush push play?
Yes, it introduced the ideas of the play I just mentioned from the Giants and 2 other players that were also injured.
Did you agree with her assessment of the cause of those players' injuries?
Of the players on the Giants, no.
Why did you disagree with that?
Objection, Your Honor. May we be heard outside the presence of the jury?
Sure.
At this point, it's misleading for this jury. This line of questioning is going directly to an NFL play and what that injury and what that play caused to that player. Your Honor, we're here to determine whether a coach's decision in high school football led to that injury. This line of questioning will just mislead the jury.
Response?
Your Honor, Dr. Cotter testified that as a basis of her conclusion, she considered her own article that she wrote on the tush push play. That was on the tush push play as one in the NFL. Certainly, I ought to be able to question this witness who's reviewed the article for impeachment purposes.
I tend to agree. I think you opened the door by calling witness who relied on the NFL play, so they similarly can call a witness who questions the credibility of that testimony on its basis. Overruled.
Why do you disagree with that, with Dr. Cotter's assessment of the cause of those Giants players' injuries in her article?
So one of the players she mentions is the tight end of the Giants, number 82, Daniel Bellinger. How she said that his injury was caused in that play, I personally believe is flawed.
Would you recognize a recording of that play you're reviewing here today?
Yes, sir.
The record reflect that during opposing counsel was been stipulated into evidence as exhibit 11. Permission to approach? Sure. Dr. Evans, what are we looking at here?
So this is a video from 2023 of a game between the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks.
Your Honor, may the witness step down to demonstrate to the jury his issues with Dr. Cotter's conclusion. Dr. Adams, I'm gonna hit play on exhibit 11. Can you explain to the members of the jury what you disagree with?
Sure. So we're looking at number 82 on the left side, Daniel Bellinger. It's Dr. Cotter's conclusion that he was injured pushing the quarterback. That's how his injury occurs. But I want you to keep watching this play. He gets an MCL strain on the left side of that play. At no point in time does he ever come close to Daniel Jones, number 8. That's the quarterback for the Giants at that time.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adams. You can take a seat. Were there other statements in Dr. Cotter's article that you also determined to be flawed?
Yes.
What statements?
Well, first of all, she told everybody that there was no high school data about players running the tush push. I found 2 teams in Texas that were running the play. Then she told us today about 2 players that were paralyzed due to axial loading, but then couldn't tell us what kind of play those were. That Dennis Bird and Dennis Gales were injured running, or Devin Gales were injured running the play, but they couldn't tell us what they were, just that they were cited.
You mentioned axial loading. Could you explain to the members of the jury what axial loading is?
Sure. So it's force applied via the axis of the spine, normally due to force to the head or neck area.
So, in your opinion, what impact does axial loading have on injuries in football?
It's kind of inherent to football. There's axial loading or risk for it on every single football.
What do you mean on every single football play?
I mean, even as much as a routine tackle, players can be subjected to axial load. It can nearly happen every time a player touches a football.
Dr. Adams, is the tush push the only play on which a football player can be injured?
Absolutely not.
What, if any, other injuries have you reviewed and come to your conclusions on this case?
So I've reviewed the injuries of the two players that.
Objection. Inside the presence of the jury.
Sure.
Your Honor, the question was, what if any other injuries have you reviewed? Other injuries aren't relevant to this case. We're only determining Marie Newbrands' injury. Whatever material that this expert reviewed, other injuries, that's just not relevant.
Response.
As your Honor is aware, the standard for relevance under Federal Rule of Evidence 401 is an extremely low bar. This witness just testified that axial loading can occur on any football play, including a routine tackle. Certainly, in light of that, it is proper to explore what other types of injuries have occurred in the NFL.
I'll give you a little leeway, just on this, let's not go too far on this, but just a little bit of leeway on this, overruled.
What, if any, other injuries did you review during your conclusion this case?
I reviewed hundreds of football plays. And think about injuries to guys like Ryan Shazier or DeMar Hamlin. They were playing relatively normal plays and they had life-altering injuries.
How was Ryan Shazier injured?
He was paralyzed.
Was he paralyzed on the tush push?
No.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Cross.
Dr. Adams, you've been a neurosurgeon for most of your career,
Yes.
but now you spend one day out of the week at the hospital.
Yes.
The rest of your time is spent in your litigation consulting business.
That's right.
In this business, you provide expert witness services.
Sure, I consult on behalf of neurological risk.
Well, you described yourself as specializing in these expert witness services, didn't you?
Yes.
And throughout your career, you've treated hundreds of patients.
Yes.
One of them was actually Coach Powell.
Yes.
He's been a patient of yours since 2019.
Yes, she has.
And you've been good friends with her since, haven't you?
I would kill her.
Now, you'd agree with me that Coach Powell, she's a representative of the Klein High School.
Objection, Your Honor. This is a legal conclusion. Just asking if she's a party representative of Klein High School.
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
There's no legal conclusion in this question. I'm just asking if she works for Klein High School.
Why don't we ask that question then?
Yes. But you'd agree with me that Coach Powell, she works at Klein High School.
She does.
And Klein High School is the defendant in today's case.
Yes, that's true.
You're here testifying on behalf of the defense, aren't you?
I am here testifying for that.
Now, I want to talk about that opinion that you came on direct examination. So your opinion is that the tush push is medically safe for high school students, correct?
Yes.
Dr. Adams, you've never played football?
No.
You never coached football?
No.
Well, you're telling this jury that the tush push is safe.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, as part of the materials that you reviewed for this case, you're aware that the National Federation of High School Association it banned this play for high school students, right?
Yes, in most states.
And it banned this play because it wants to prevent injuries to underdeveloped athletes, right?
Sure.
Dr. Adams, let's say that the American Board of Neurological Surgery, they put out this rule that bans you from doing a procedure on a patient because it's unsafe. Would you then go and perform that procedure?
It depends. If it was legal where I was doing and I believed in it, then yes, I would go perform that surgery.
And Dr. Adams, I want to get back to the tush push. Now, you agree with me that Coach Powell, he modified this play for Marie.
She did.
She made Marie get low,
Right.
lower than how the Eagles ran it.
Yes, lower than a photo of Jalen Hurts from Miss Clean Shepherd.
She made Marie have her head down,
His head, yes.
and he couldn't see in front of him.
Presumably not.
He made Marie have his chest parallel to the floor,
Yes, she did.
like a human spear.
That was her rules.
And you're telling this jury that this is safe.
Because of the low forces involved with the play, yes, ma'am.
Well, Dr. Adams, you'd agree with me that this position, it increases the exposure of the cervical spine to impact, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
High school students, they have weaker spines than adults, don't they?
That's right.
That makes their spines more vulnerable to injuries.
Yes.
I have nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Can you redirect based on that?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Dr. Adams, you were asked about getting low on this play. Is the tush push the only play where the players get low?
No, that happens on many other football plays.
You were also asked about the relative strength of high school players' spines.
Sure,
Is it true that high school players generally have weaker spines than adults?
that's right.
Then how do you conclude that this play was safe?
It's because of the forces involved. Yes, there's bad technique and they do have weaker spines, but they're coming together at slower speeds and not as strong of bodies as we would see in the national football.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any recross, excuse me, based on that?
Nothing further.
Okay, witness is excused. Thank you. Defense, do you have any other witnesses, testimony, or evidence you'd like to present?
No, Your Honor, at this point, the defense rests.
Okay, do we have any additional motions to take up before we break, before closing?
Nothing for plaintiff.
Your Honor, we would just re-raise our motion to dismiss based on federal rule of civil procedure. Yeah.
Okay, resting on the same argument, my ruling is the same, so it was denied. Let's take 5 minutes before close.
What do you think?
Appreciate it. Well, stuck in there.
My door opener is here.
We catch ourselves at the same time, it seems.
Of course, same. Well,
Well, I hope you're.
You all right?
The only time, Jen.
All right, planning party ready to close?
Yes, Your Honor.
Whenever you're ready.
May I please the court? Got it. They couldn't stand losing. They refused to let safety get in the way of their success. Now Marie will never stand again. This case was never about whether or not football is dangerous. Of course it is. It's not about whether injuries can happen on any given play. We know that they can. This case was about coaches that made decisions that made football more dangerous than it needed to be. Klein freshman football team was a joke. 1 win, 9 losses, 2 seasons in a row. They were embarrassed at a school that takes football very seriously. So going into their 3rd season, they knew that their jobs were on the line. So being unable to muster any success of their own, they tried to take success from the most successful team that they could think of, a team in their own backyard, the Philadelphia Eagles, 2025 Super Bowl champions. The play that they took was the tush push, the brotherly shove, a play so controversially dangerous that the NFL had considered banning it multiple times. A play so dangerous that 48 states had said, this play is too dangerous for our high school athletes to run, and we're not going to let them run it. That's the play that Klein High School decided they wanted their 5'2", 109-pound quarterback to run. Not just run lower. But Marie was a 14-year-old football player in Philadelphia. Marie heard nothing but, I get to run the tush push. I get to run my city's play. Marie was ecstatic till he got to practice. September 9th, and he heard that he's running the play wrong. Marie, you're not low enough, Marie. Marie, you've got to get lower. Marie, that's not low enough. Get your head down. Stop looking up at the defense like a football player. Keep your head down. Boys, you see how small he is? He's too little to do this by himself. You shove him through the line like a spear. Like a spear. Go. Perfect. Perfect. That's it. Do it again. Do it again. Get up. Marie, get up. Do it again. Marie. Marie. Wasn't football. It wasn't an accident. That wasn't the risk of a dangerous sport finally being realized. That was a choice. To put gaining 1 yard in a practice above the life of a 14-year-old boy. High schools, coaches have a duty to protect our students. They have a duty to assess risks and make sure that their athletes are as safe as they possibly can be. So how did Klein High School respond to that duty? Well, you heard Coach Powell on the stand today. She told you that when she was first discussing this play, she had no idea if it was safe or not. She didn't think it was. She asked Coach Clooney, are you sure this play is safe for our athletes to run? Coach Clooney on that stand today told you that she was certain play is not safe for high school athletes, but they ran the play anyway. When they ran the play and had that discussion, you heard today that they knew that the very next season, this play was not going to be allowed to be run. You heard that it had already been outlawed in 48 other states, and that Pennsylvania finally took suit and agreed it's too dangerous for our kids. But Klein High School knew that that gave them 1 year. 1 year to try to gain some success. So they ran the play, but not the way that the Eagles run it, not the way that they had seen run hundreds of times with no injuries. They ran the play lower, parallel to the ground, with his head down, shoving a 14-year-old, 109-pound body through the line like a human spear. You heard Coach Clooney today tell you that Marik is the most coachable athlete they'd ever seen. That you only had to tell him something once. He just listened. He just got it. He trusted his coaches implicitly. How did Klein High School use that trust? They made him stop being a football player. It turned him into a tool to gain 1 yard. The plaintiffs in this case, you heard at the very beginning from Ms. Morales that we held the burden. We had to prove to you that Klein High School and their coaches made decisions that reasonable coaches in their position would not have made. So how do we know? How can we know if reasonable coaches would have made the same decisions in those positions? Well, we know because the country's full of reasonable coaches. You heard all day today that there's not enough data. There's not enough data because there's no athletes in high school that have been injured running this play. There's no athletes that have been injured running this play because the play is too dangerous to run in high school. Athletes can't be injured on a play that they're not allowed to run. We know that reasonable coaches wouldn't have done what Klein did because no reasonable coach ever has. But Klein did because they couldn't stand losing. They refused to let safety stand in the way of their success. Because of their decisions, Marique will never stand again. Ms. Morales told you that at this trial, we would ask you to make a decision. It's time to make that decision. When you go back to deliberate, you're going to be asked 2 questions. You're going to be asked if Klein High School was negligent. After everything that you've heard today, we're asking you to please yes. Then you're going to be asked if that negligence caused Marique's injuries. Well, ask yourselves if Marique had been forced to run a play that was too dangerous for the rest of the country, would he still have been injured? If Marique wouldn't have been forced into a position that was parallel and not be allowed to look up at the deep ends while they're doing everything in their power to get into the ground, would he have still been injured? The answer is obvious. No. So did their negligence cause his injuries? Of course. We're going to ask you to put yes. We're asking. Marique and his family are asking that you find Klein High School liable for negligence.
That's
Yes, Your Honor, may I have a brief moment to set the well? Your Honor, before I get started, since we are not pursuing the affirmative defense here, the verdict sheet does have a question 3. I ask that this question 3 be constructively removed from the verdict sheet.
yes, it already,
Pursuant to.
yeah, it already is based on the rules.
The violent game of football, every play comes with danger. On September 9th, 2024, the Klein High School freshman football team lined up to run a play. They had run it before, they had run it without incident. But this time, tragedy struck. Sadly, 14-year-old Marie Nuberens is paralyzed. No one disputes that. It was something no teammate, no parent, no coach ever wanted to see. But in this case, sympathy plays no role in the decision. This case is about whether the plaintiff proved by a preponderance of the evidence that Klein High School was responsible for what happened to me. After all the testimony that we've heard, you know that Klein High School is not negligent. It's just the harsh truth. Football. Every play comes with danger. Today, we showed you that Marique's injuries were a tragic result of an inherently violent sport. Football. The injury occurred on a legal play, one that was practiced. The plaintiff has failed in meeting their burden today. And Klein High School is not negligent for at least the following 3 reasons. Football is violent. They practice illegal play. The play is safe. That's my first point. Football is violent. No one disputes that today. Each and every witness that took this witness stand agreed with that statement. You heard Coach Powell say, football is dangerous, no matter how careful. Then you heard Coach Clooney say, football is violent. Multiple players get hurt every NFL game. Both of these coaches have been around football their entire lives. But you don't have to take their words for it, because you know football is violent because of what the testimony established about football. Today you heard about Ryan Shazier, Damar Hamlin, Dennis Burr. All of these players were paralyzed or critically injured on routine plays. Why? Football is violent. Everybody knows football is violent. You heard about the risks of football. Risks like death, paralysis. All of these were known. That brings me to my second point. They practiced illegal play. Members of the jury, tush push was legal. Legal in the NFL, legal in college, legal for Pennsylvania high school football. The plaintiff wants you to believe that this tush push was unsafe because it was banned the following year. But members of the jury, the Pennsylvania Athletic Board Association allowed for this play to be legal for days, weeks, months, a whole season. That doesn't sound like an emergency. That doesn't sound like a ban out of immediate concern. If the tush push was as dangerous as the plaintiff wants you to believe, why didn't they ban it immediately? It's because the play was legal, safe. What did Klein High School do with that legal play? Well, you heard that on August 20th, Coach Powell taught the team tush push. He spoke to each and every one of the 11 players. He took the center right here, told him how to stand, how to snap the ball to the quarterback. Then he took a tight end and told him how to stand and how to push. He even took one of the offensive linemen, told him how to stand and how to block for the play. He did this with each and every one of the 11 players. And after they did that, they ran the play. Not once, not twice, 3 times they ran that play. It worked like a charm. No player got injured. That's how you know. By the time September 9th rolled around, this wasn't a surprise play. This was a practiced, prepared, and explained play. At the end of today's trial, you will be given this verdict sheet. Question 1. Did plaintiff prove more likely than not that Thomas R. Klein High School, through the acts or omissions of its agents or employees, was negligent? You know the answer to that question is no. Members of the jury, the coach asked Marique to get a little lower, a little more parallel to the ground. He's a smaller kid. He didn't want him getting hurt or coming in contact with these big forces. That's not unreasonable. That's not negligent. That's not breaching a standard of care. But we don't go into deliberation. We don't know what those deliberations will entail. If you answer no to question 1, tell the bailiff you've reached a verdict. But if you answer yes, you'll be directed to question 2. Did plaintiff prove more likely than not that the negligence of Thomas R. Klein High School, through the acts or omissions of its agents or employees, caused Marique Newberence's harm? You know the answer to that question is also. That brings me to my third. Tush push. Tush push was sympathy plays no role in your deliberations today. But statistics should. You know the play was safe because of what the statistics showed you. You heard about Dr. Omega Adams, who said there are high schools who run the tush push. High schools in Texas, there have been no injuries. In college, the tush push has been run hundreds of times. No injuries. Let's step back and think about what we know about the NFL. In the NFL, the tush push has been run on 316 plays. In 316 plays, only 2 players have ever been injured. They were both injured in the same game. Both injured on the same exact play. They weren't quarterbacks. They weren't spinal injuries. They weren't what happened here. The stats prove the play was safe. What else do you know? Well, you know that no quarterback has ever been injured on the tush push. Members of the jury, just think about that. In 316 plays, with dozens of quarterbacks and hundreds of defensive linemen, not a single quarterback has ever gotten injured. They haven't even injured a hamstring. Why is that? It's because the play is safe. That's how you know the answer to question 2 is no. But let's go beyond the statistics. We brought to you Dr. Omega Adams. Heard a lot about this fund today. Dr. Omega Adams is the only one who's ever even operated on one of these. They told you that they've operated on hundreds of spinal injuries. They also told you that this play was actually safer than most. Why? Because we have to think of the position that these players are in. Look at the formation. They're crouched together. It's slow. It's low impact. When they hit each other, they're only hitting each other like this. They're not coming at each other from this far apart. The plaintiff wants to believe that this tragedy was avoidable. They'll have you rest your verdict on the testimony of Dr. Cotter. But you should disregard the testimony of Dr. Cotter because you know their analysis of the tush-push play was wrong. Let's look at Exhibit 11 again. Dr. Cotter claimed that Daniel Bellinger, number 82 on the Giants, that he was hurt pushing the quarterback, tush-push. We're going to watch this video again. Look out for 82. This is 82. This is 82. That's Daniel Bellinger. This is quarterback. Watch if he ever touches him. Members of the jury, you just watched your own two eyes. Daniel Bellinger doesn't come near the quarterback. He doesn't put a hand on the quarterback. Once you know that Dr. Cotter's conclusions about how tush-push injuries happen are wrong or incorrect. Either she watched that video and deliberately misspoke to you here today, or she never watched that video and started writing about it in some report. I mean, you saw today on the stand that she couldn't even remember how a player she mentioned in an article was even injured. Once you know that, you can take their testimony and disregard it. We've talked a lot about Dr. Cotter's conclusions today. Let's talk about what they failed to mention. Not once did you see Dr. Cotter say anything about wanting to ban the tush-push, how it should be never run again, it's too dangerous. It never happened. Why? Because despite all of their testimony, they don't want to ban the tush-push either. Her conclusion regarding the tush-push is that leagues should carefully consider the medical issues before allowing this play. Well, what do you know? Pennsylvania Athletic Board Association, they weighed those risks. And then they chose to legalize it. When you're coming to your deliberation today, members of the jury, I ask you to remember that in the violent game of football, every play comes with danger. Football is violent. They practice illegal play. Tush-push, tush-pushes. At the end of today's trial, I ask that you find the only verdict consistent with the law, consistent with the facts, consistent with your own common sense. Find Thomas R. Klein not one. Thank you.
Plaintiff, would you like to rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor. Just a moment, clear the vote.
Yeah.
Football is violent. They practice a legal play, and the play was safe. I told you just moments ago that this case isn't about whether or not football is violent. You know that it is. You know that it's dangerous. This case is about coaches who made football more dangerous, more violent than it needed to be. What's more violent than a normal football play is forcing a 14-year-old boy into a parallel position, forcing his head into the dirt, forcing him to run blind through a line of scrimmage while his teammates use him like a spear. That's more violent. They practiced a legal play. We heard a lot today about how this play was legal. They were legally allowed to do it. The rule hadn't passed yet. The Pennsylvania Athletic Association, they didn't say that they couldn't run the play. It was legal. You know what else is legal is me jumping off my roof. Legal? I'm not getting arrested for that. But I'm getting hurt. This isn't about whether or not they were legally allowed to run the play, despite 48 other states saying it's too dangerous. Despite the fact that the Pennsylvania Athletic Association had said that the next season, this is banned. It's about whether or not that decision was negligent. And the play was safe. The play that keeps getting mentioned by defense counsel is the tush push. They've spent a lot of time trying to convince you that the tush push is a safe play. They just showed you a video, again, of the tush push being run in the NFL, and they pointed out Daniel Bellinger being injured on that play. And what's not in that video, what's not relevant to the tush push is anything happening today. Because that's not the play that was run. They ran the play lower. They forced Marique to be parallel to the ground. Every video that you saw today, the quarterback is at least allowed to look up to see what's coming. Marique wasn't given that privilege. It's been a long time trying to convince you that Dr. Cotter didn't understand what she put in her own article. She didn't understand the plays that were being run when the injuries happened that she was talking about. Maybe it's because those weren't the injuries we were here to discuss today. Dr. Cotter was focused on Marique and the injuries that were relevant to this case. We brought you a sports medical doctor. The defense brought you Coach Powell's buddy. Coach Powell's good friend that Coach Powell didn't even call after he decided to run this dangerous play, after he made these modifications, didn't give him a call to see if the neurosurgeon friend would have thought this display was dangerous. She was afraid of the answer. Coach Powell couldn't stand what was happening. He wouldn't let safety stand in the way of that season's success. Fine high school.
All right, I believe that concludes everything. So we will take a moment, all the judges will file our ballots, make sure they're submitted, and then we'll wait for the all clear and brief comments.
Your Honor, you need to step leave the room. It's been different.
You guys feel free to, so that you're not sitting here awkwardly. That's probably a bigger reason than making it unhelpful.
That's a very good. The job.
Good job, okay.
All done, sir? You're all done?
I'm good, ready to push it.
No stress.